Hey, Rumble World Entertainment, and how is this even a thing? But they are going to make yet another Exorcist movie. Because, the last few have done so well. That's sarcasm because they've been absolute stinkers. But they are trying to move back in a right direction, and this time Mike Flanagan is going to be in charge. And he's hired none other than Scarlett Johansson to be the face of this new movie. Will it work this time around? I'm going to press X to doubt, because this thing, they just cannot get right anymore. Which is weird, because you think it's such an easy premise that it's one of those, how can you ever screw this up? And yet, they constantly manage to screw it up. But let's have a look at this, because this is interesting. And it's weird as well, the fact that, is she starting to become the face of relaunching franchises? She's just relaunched Jurassic World, and now she's been tagged to relaunch The Exorcist. So let's have a look. So Scarlett Johansson is officially joining Mike Flanagan's new take on The Exorcist, marking the biggest move yet in Universal and Blumhouse's attempt to course correct the franchise after The Exorcist Believer collapsed both financially and creatively. Deadline reports Johansson will headline the new film, which is described as a fresh story set in the Exorcist universe and not connected to Believer. Which is interesting, because is Believer connected to any of the other movies? Because they're saying like it's connected to all the other stories where the looks are just not Believer. So are they just outright retconning Believer? Don't know. So her casting follows the underperformance of the 2023 reboot, which brought in only $65.5 million in the US and Canada and $136.2 million worldwide. An embarrassing return after Universal paid $400 million for the franchise rights. Imagine that. That's bad. That's the equivalent of, imagine when Disney bought Lucasfilm for the $4.5 billion. Now, obviously, they still have not made their money back on that. But at least the first movie came out with $1 billion. Imagine if they paid $4 billion for Lucasfilm and Force Awakens came out and only made like $300 million. That'd be like whoa, that's terrible. They paid $400 million for the rights, and the movie brought in $136.2 million worldwide. Yikes. So Mike Flanagan praised Johansson, calling her a brilliant actress whose grounded performances make her ideal for the tone he intends, saying, Scarlett is a brilliant actress whose captivating performances always feel grounded and real, from genre films to summer blockbusters, and I couldn't be happier to have her join the Exorcist film. So, I wonder how much they're paying her to be a part of this bloody thing, which is going to be weird. By the way, there doesn't seem to be any indication as to how much of a budget this next one's going to have. So, this new entry is Flanagan's full creative reset after Universal and Blumhouse scrapped The Exorcist Deceiver and removed David Gordon Green from the franchise. The studio pivoted after Believer bombed, with critics 22% Rotten Tomatoes and audience 59%. Flanagan will write, direct and produce the project through his Red Room Pictures label. Blumhouse, Atomic Monster, Morgan Creek and Universal are all backing the film. Producers include Jason Blum, Ryan Turek, whatever it is, Trevor McKay, and David Robertson. Okay, cool. So, yeah, I vaguely remember them saying about this thing, Exorcist Deceiver. David Gordon Green, he was one of those, didn't he and Danny McBride, weren't they the two behind the relaunch of Halloween? Which was hilarious as well, because they said, we want to undo all the dumbness and stuff that the original Halloween sequels did, and then they went ahead and did all the dumbness again that those sequels did. It was like, oh, so you just removed those from being canon just to pretty much remake them again into canon. Like when Michael Myers ended up being like stabbed, shot, beaten, you name it, it happened to him at the end of the second movie, and he still just stood up and whipped everyone in the one was like, oh, so you're going back into the supernatural end of things. And the less said about Halloween Ends, the better, because whew, was that thing a disaster. So I remember when the trailers for Exorcist Believer came out, and it was just like one of these, what in the name of all that's holy is this crap? And everyone had that reaction to that trailer. It was like, what is this? And it's terrible. There's so many of these movies now as well, and movies with the word Exorcist in it, that it's confusing now to, like, are half of these even connected to the original movie? Like, have you ever seen The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe? There's actually a sequel to that I haven't seen yet. That one is actually, I like that movie, but I don't think it has anything to do with the overall Exorcist franchise. I'm not sure. And I don't think I've ever heard anyone say whether it does or doesn't, or whether it's just this thing on its own, just that it happens to have the name Exorcist in it. If you haven't seen that movie, I do recommend that one. Again, if you didn't catch the name, it's The Pope's Exorcist with Russell Crowe. He's like this, he's nuts. Obviously he's the priest, but he like sipping on the old silly juice, and he's just like cracking jokes. It's a weird movie in terms of I wasn't expecting humor to be in there, and there's quite a bit of humor. Not so much that it's like, it's this almost borderline comedy horror. It's not comedy horror at all. It's just his actions in some scenes and stuff are funny. So I do recommend that one. But the Exorcist Believer, I had no idea that was meant to be a full-on reboot, because it's like, why bother trying to do a full-on reboot? That's weird. And then, did you ever watch the Exorcist series that came out? I think it only did 2 seasons before they cancelled it. I'm pretty sure it was on Sci-Fi. That was actually decent, and the first season of that connected back to the original movie as well, which was interesting. So that was actually meant to be canon to the franchise. Gina Davis, if I remember correctly, starred in the first season, and John Chow starred in the second season. So I did enjoy the show. It was unfortunate that it got cancelled. I'm not sure what it got cancelled for, whether it just wasn't pulling in viewers or whether what the case was. I can't remember. But they were good, and they were meant to be canon. So then Exorcist Believer and stuff, and wasn't there an Exorcist something or another before Believer, like a more recent one? Not the Pope's Exorcist. There was like meant to be a proper sequel, I think. Or, as I said, there's so many of these bloody things nowadays, it's hard to keep track of which is which and what's connected to the original movie and what isn't. But do I think this movie will work? I think it's in better hands with the likes of Mike Flanagan. He does seem to know more what he's doing. Scarlett Johansson, if she's going to be the lead, then, like, are they saying she's going to be, like, the priest that does the exorcisms? Is she going to be the person who gets possessed? Is she going to be the mother or something of somebody who gets possessed? Don't know. There's absolutely no information regarding any of that stuff. But what we do know is that they are going to try and make yet another Exorcist movie, which I think is a bad idea to do it now, being the fact that it was only 2 years ago that the abomination of Exorcist Believer came out. So the bad taste of that is still going to be very fresh in people's mouth. But Flanagan, okay, probably in good hands there. Blumhouse and stuff, how much interference will they put in that they could end up screwing it up? Is it too soon to do another one? And Scarlett Johansson, who the hell will she be in it? That's all to be answered and determined. So what do you guys think of this? Do you think they should just leave it alone at this stage? Does it make you more interested that Mike Flanagan is going to do it? What do you think is Scarlett Johansson going to be the lead of it? Let me know. And with that, I shall leave it there for this one. So do like, share, subscribe, hit the hype button, all that good stuff. The power of Christ compels you. Cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.